So students, now my today's topic is how to correct deficient demand or excess demand by fiscal policy. So how to correct deficient demand or excess demand by fiscal policy, or you can also say how the deflationary gap or inflationary gap can be narrowed by fiscal policy. So first of all, we are explaining what is fiscal policy. So fiscal policy is a policy used by government through its revenue and expenditure measures. So fiscal policy refers to public revenue. Public revenue, it means the sources by which government earns its income. And from that income, expenditure done by government, so that means public expenditure. So how government earns and how government spends, how this can be used to control deficit demand or excess demand. So first of all, suppose public revenue, how the government earns its income, means what government has as a source of its income. As you know that the major source is taxes. So government has a revenue through its taxes. As you know, the taxes are of two types, direct taxes and indirect taxes. Second one is deficit financing. Deficit financing. So deficit financing is a system by which government asks RBI to issue new currency. So publishing new currency, you can say at deficit financing. And the next source for revenue is public borrowing. Public borrowing. So government also borrow. So these are the three main sources for the revenue of the government. And with this revenue, government spends. So public expenditure. So on what public government spends, so it is all things to be written as a whole is known as public expenditure, government expenditure. So government spends on what? So government spends on many sources such as public welfare, public construction, defense, and subsidy. So these are some categories on which government spends its revenue. So now my question is how deficit demand can be controlled by these tools. So students, listen carefully. These four tools, 1, 2, 3, and the next one you can say is fourth one is this, public expenditure as a whole. So what, suppose there is a deficient demand, and I told you the deficit demand means the aggregate demand is less than aggregate supply for full employment level. Now it means how this can be correct. So it can be correct by increasing AD. So we want to increase AD. Now how we can increase AD, this has to be understood. Now AD, you know that AD is the consumption plus investment. So consumption plus investment, it means either consumption can be increased or investment can be increased, your AD will also increase. So what government can do to increase the consumption of people or to increase the investment of the producers? So first of all, it has a tools for, let's say, taxes. Now we are spending this taxes. So suppose you are finance minister and you want to increase the consumption of the people. So what you would do with the taxes? Either you will increase taxes or you will decrease taxes. So the outcome should be we should decrease the taxes. Taxes should be decreased to increase aggregate demand. How it will help? So when the taxes decrease, that means disposable income disposable income of people will increase. That means people will have more money to spend more because they are paying less taxes. So if taxes decrease, disposable income increase, so they can increase their consumption. If consumption increase, that means aggregate demand can also increase. As a result, deficit demand can be controlled, or you can say deflationary gap can be narrowed. So first point is taxes. I hope you understand the taxes by fiscal policy. Now the deficit financing, as I told you, the deficit financing refers to government issue new currency. So what to do with the government to either it should because we want AD to be increased. So deficit financing should also increase. If deficit financing increase, that means new currency will flow. New currency will increase. It means more money will inflow in the economy. If more money will inflow in the economy, that means that money will be used by producers or by the consumers. So as a result, aggregate demand will increase. And the public borrowing. So public borrowing. So government should decrease its public borrowing. If government will take less loan, that means the rest of the money can be used or can be taken by the people as a loan. If people loan will be available for the people, then they will demand. So as a result, public borrowing should decrease so that that money can be used for borrowing by the common people. If government will take all the money from the market, then common people will not be able to take money as a loan. So government should decrease its borrowing, or you can say domestic borrowing, so that that money can be used as a loan for the by the people. So I hope you understand the 3 points. Listen again. First, government should decrease taxes. Second one, deficit financing should increase. And the third one, public borrowing should decrease. It means government should take less loan. And then as a whole, the next point is public expenditure. So what to do with the government expenditure? So सरकार को अपनी government should increase their expenditure on these all things. If government will increase more on public welfare, that means public welfare, people will take more advantage. As a result, their consumption will increase. Public welfare such as old age pension, free hospital, free schools. So if these kind of facilities will be availed by the government as a whole, in more quantity, that means people will consumption more. And public construction should also increase. Defense, in this matter you can say that if defense is a other method, but you will not write here. And subsidy, yes, government increases subsidy, as a result people will have more money. So as a whole we can say public expenditure should increase. So because government expenditure is the income of common people, so if income of common people will increase, that means the public expenditure income of common people increase. As a result, if public expenditure increase, your aggregate demand will also increase. If AD increase, that means deficit demand can be controlled. Now, this is if suppose the same condition can be for excess demand. This I explained to you for deficit demand case, and if the same condition can be for excess demand, then all the arrows should be changed, or you can say write it as opposite directions. So now I'm explaining the theory for this topic so that you can understand better. From the assignment you will read it. So students, this is the topic that I have just told you. Just a minute. Look, first of all, the definition. Fiscal policy refers to budgetary policy of the government or the policy related to revenue and expenditure, just I told you, of the government with a view to correcting the situations of excess demand or deficit demand in the economy. So you can say the revenue and expenditure policy by the government is called as fiscal policy. Now, what to do in case of deficit demand or deflationary gap? How this gap can be narrowed? So first point is, I told you, increase in government expenditure. In fact, this point I told you in last, fourth point, as in here it is given as first point. So if government increases its expenditure, so what will be its outcome? So listen carefully. In a situation of deflationary gap or deficient demand, so I told you that this is a condition where AD is less than AS, corresponding to full employment level. So government should raise its expenditure. That is, there will be more economic activities in the economic, like building of roads, bridges, canal, etc. This will raise the level of employment. It will in turn increase their income, and purchasing power of the community will also increase. As a result, aggregate demand will rise. So students, as I told you, that government's expenditure will turn into income of common people. If income of common people will increase, so they will also increase their consumption. If consumption increases, that means aggregate demand will automatically increase. I hope you understand this point now. And the next point is decrease in taxes. So in a situation of deficit demand, the government should reduce taxes. It will increase the purchasing power of common people, and they will spend more on consumption of goods and services. The government can also give tax concession to leave more disposable income in the hands of people. As a result, aggregate demand will increase. So government should decrease taxes, even give some rebate to taxpayers so that their income can be increased. Which income can be increased? It is called a disposable income. Please be noted that income and disposable income are two different concepts. Disposable income refers to the level where you can spend according to your own choice, the income. Next one. Next, fourth point is increase in deficit financing. So I told you deficit financing means issue a new currency by the government. So to correct deficit demand or to increase the demand in the economy, the government should take resort of deficit financing, printing of notes to increase purchasing power of the economy. So if money will be increased, that means purchasing power of people will also be increased. As a result, aggregate demand will increase. And the last one is decrease in public borrowing. So I just told you that government should decrease its public borrowing. How it will help? So in case of deficit demand, government should decrease its borrowing from the public so that people are left with greater liquidity and aggregate demand expenditure remains high. So it means you will have more money with yourself to increase your consumption. So these were the point for deficit demand. So students, listen carefully. If the same question came for excess demand, generally it happens that in one set teacher asks in case of deficit demand, in another set he changes in case of excess demand. So the point are the same, just you will have to write in opposite direction. So you can write in the verb point and vice versa point. Also you can take help from the book which is available at your home. I have recommended book. You can also buy my book, that is Move Fast with Economics, written by me. So this is the concept for deficit demand and excess demand. Now the next small summary I am also explaining. The next concept is is foreign trade policy. Generally, this policy is not considered as an important aspect, yet I'm explaining you. So suppose there's a deficit demand in case of, that means AD is less than AS corresponding to full employment level. So foreign trade policy refers to policy of export and import. So export import policy is known as foreign trade policy. So suppose if there's a deficit demand, it means the people of your economy are unable to buy more. So what government will do in this case? Either it should increase export or it should decrease export. So if people of your economy is unable to buy, that means your export should increase, so that that good can be sold in rest of the world and the money can be earned, and that money can be used for the consumption in domestic market. So export should increase and import should decrease, then vice versa case. So this is a very small concept for foreign trade policy, and that's it for your excess demand and deficit demand. I hope you understand this concept. So thank you. The unit, the third unit is completed for macroeconomics, and please go through all the videos that we have shared with you.